All right, at 6 o'clock, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order.
I didn't want to get tangled in the court, but I still managed.
Welcome, everyone. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated.
We do not have any oaths of office to be declared, so we'll move into public input. The first up is Anita Dubsik. Nope. Okay. Next up is Rebecca Haas.
Should she grab Ramona's?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you. Good evening, board, everybody else here. Sorry. My name is Rebecca House. For those of you who don't know me, I've spoken quite a bit at these meetings, it seems, in the past 6 months. I'm a parent of a Lakeland High School graduate, class of 2024, current 7th grader at Lakeland Middle School. I've lived in Idaho since 1991 when my dad retired from the U.S. Army and moved us here. I have worked in the Lakeland School District since 2000. I've lived in the Lakeland School District since 2004. And I have dedicated my professional career to the success of my students and the support of my colleagues, which is why I'm here tonight. In the past, whenever I said I worked for the Lakeland School District, others would say how lucky I am and tell me how amazing our district is, and I would always agree. Since the failure of this levy, I have received nothing but looks of concern and questions about what we are going to do next. I am bewildered by how we got here from there in such a short period of time. I am here tonight to address the state of our district. Our school board and our district administration do seem to be at odds, and moving forward, I believe that they need to work together to create a cohesive message to the community. As a community member, I am constantly hearing and seeing all the finger pointing, and it is time to set aside individual agendas and come together for one agenda, the success of our district. Once the decision is made to rerun the levy, the message shared out to the community needs to be one of support, and it needs to come from all arenas. If we do not change our trajectory, we will become a district similar to Priest River and what they are dealing with right now. Unable to attract quality teachers, we will become a training ground for new teachers coming out of college who only stay for a couple of years and then move on to better opportunities. I realize calling for a state of emergency is not taken lightly. However, it is a signal to others that our district is in turmoil and not on steady ground. Teachers, students, and parents are looking for stability. We need to figure out a solution to this problem and reassure them that we can provide a secure educational future for our students. At the last board meeting, it was disheartening to hear our dedicated teachers are the first staff targeted to receive possible pay cuts through the slashing of stipends they have earned. Teachers have earned these because they have been here 20 plus years, are in leadership positions, are rated as distinguished, and have worked to make this district one of the best districts in the state. What has taken decades to build has taken one failed levy to tarnish and will take a decade to repair. I appreciate and applaud Trustee Jones's letter to the community. As a staff member for 25 years, I have lived the Lakeland way. While it is not always perfect, it has created a mantra by which we can operate and succeed even in the toughest of times. I implore all decision makers to set aside their own agendas and come together for one common goal, the success of the Lakeland School District. If we are at odds with each other, we cannot come out ahead. The blame game has got to end, and personal interests need to be set aside for a cohesive purpose. And not to sound cliche, but let's make Lakeland great again. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Marion Mayer.
Hello again. Again, my name is Maren Meyer, and it's good to see you back, Lisa. We're surgeries as well. So first of all, I just wanted to thank Trustee Thompson for her leadership of the board this past year. In my professional and volunteer efforts, I've served on many community and nonprofit boards, and as a board chair. It's a lot of time and dedication and sacrifice, and we appreciate your willingness to take that on. It's healthy for board governance and leadership to have the role of chair rotate at times, as it allows others to carry that extra level of responsibility, provides opportunity for growth and diversity of leadership styles. So as a resident of Spirit Lake, I would like to ask the board to consider allowing Trustee Bain to step into the role of board chair for this next year, if she's willing to take that on. She has served on the board for over 3 years and comes to meetings prepared and willing to ask hard questions. Her background in finance and position will position her well to guide the board through this upcoming year's budget and levy challenges. She has broad community support and a passion to help Lakeland maintain their high educational standards as well as extracurricular excellence. I think she would run meetings effectively and allow for all board members' voices to be heard. So I would just thank you for considering Trustee Bain as this next year's board chair. And again, thank you, Trustee Thompson, for all of your time you've given.
Thank you. Is there any more public input? Okay. Did anyone not have an opportunity to sign in for public input? Okay. We do not have announcements. I do need a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. We will go ahead and we will head into the annual reorganization of the Board of Trustees, and I will now turn the meeting over to Superintendent Lisa Arnold.
Hey, this is the best board meeting that we have all year long, because it's the only one I get to be in charge of. I would accept nominations for board chair.
I nominate 18.
Just to clarify, Mr. Jones, did you say you nominate Trustee Bain?
That is correct.
Are there any other?
I'll nominate Trustee Thompson.
Okay, so we have a nomination for Trustee Bain and a nomination for Trustee Thompson. Any other nominations? Okay, so different from what we've done in the past, when I read out your votes, I'm not reading the name of the trustee casting the vote, just the actual vote, and then the ballots will be part of the public record.
We've only done checks.
Mr. Jones, you're going to send to the clerk an email with your vote.
Should be on the way there.
Can you have us?
Okay, so we have one vote for Randy Bain. One vote for Trustee Thompson. One vote for Trustee Thompson. One vote for Trustee Thompson. And one vote for Randy Bain. So we have a 3-2 vote for board chair. So Trustee Thompson will retain that seat. And I will accept nominations for vice chair.
I nominate Trustee Bain.
Okay, are there any other nominations?
I nominate Trustee Grissom.
Any other nominations? Okay, I will accept the ballots.
Mr. Jones, did you cast your ballot?
I'm going to do it verbally if you don't mind. Votes for Trustee Bain.
Okay, and then we do need you to send us an email with it so we have the written record.
Yeah, well, as soon as I can get it typed up here.
Okay, thank you. So one vote for Trustee Bain, one vote for Trustee Grissom, one vote for Trustee Grissom, one vote for Trustee Grissom, and one vote for Randy Bain. So 3 votes for Trustee Grissom, 2 votes for Trustee Bain. And then I will hand the meeting back over to board chair.
Next, we need to appoint the district treasurer. Nominations for that?
I'll nominate the CFO.
Second.
Okay, so we have the nomination for CFO. We have a second on that. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Did Bob cast his vote?
Yeah, said I.
Okay, perfect. Motion carries, or appointment carries. Okay, we have the 2025 appointed treasurers and signatories resolution that we were presented with this a few months back due to the amount of changes that had occurred. But this is typically something we do at our annual meeting. So is there any conversations to have on this resolution, or are we in agreement with it?
I move to approve.
We have a move to approve.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Oops.
It says it's a resolution, so do we need to do a roll call? Yeah.
Thank you. We're going to do a roll call vote on this resolution.
Trustee Bain?
Yes.
Chair Thompson?
Yes.
Trustee Quimby?
Yes.
Vice Chair Grissom?
Yes.
And Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Right, resolution passes. Okay, we need to appoint a clerk of the board.
Nominate Maria Parker for the remainder of her time.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second for the appointment of Maria Parker for clerk of the board. All in favor say aye.
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 Bob?
Yes, aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Next, we have the appointment of the temporary clerk in the absence of the clerk of the board. The recommendations for the temporary clerk? Last year we had recommended Olivia. And prior to that, it's been Brooke.
Yeah, that's Brooke. It's honest. I think we should just go ahead and do the same rule as before. Olivia?
Okay,
That would be my recommendation.
Okay, so we have a recommendation and a second to appoint Olivia as the temporary clerk in the absence of the clerk of the board. Is she here tonight?
No.
So she can't say no.
Jones?
Jones, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. We do need to appoint the custodian of records. Typically, that falls on the clerk.
I'll second that.
So we're going to go ahead and appoint Maria Parker as the custodian of records, okay? And we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. We do need to set the date, time, and location of regular board meetings. We have a request from the CFO to move our regular board meeting from the second week to the third week. She's saying we can stick with Wednesdays if we so choose. But that would give our finance department more time to be better prepared financially for the meetings.
I think we should have 2 meetings a month.
2 meetings a month?
Mhm.
Okay.
Because I don't think any of us are clear of mind at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night.
I
just
agree.
think it's getting, it hasn't corrected, so
Yeah.
I think we need to go back to two meetings a month.
Okay.
So if we could stick with the first and then anticipate our financials coming in on the third week,
So
or go
do
with the
that.
first and third.
Okay. Go with first
Wednesdays.
and third instead of back to back.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, just checking. All right.
I'll second it.
Yeah. All right, so we have a motion to hold our board meetings on the first and the third week of the month with the financials coming on the third week of the month. All in favor, say aye.
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 I'm sorry, what day of the week?
Still Wednesdays.
Oh,
Okay, aye.
thank you, Bob. So everybody said aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. All right, so now we need to go to signing the Code of Ethics. We've taken various approaches to signing this. Shall we just sign it, or do we want to read it aloud? What do we want to do?
I think we'll just sign it. Usually this is just done
We've done it.
initially, yeah. So I
Right.
think we just sign it, and then we've even went through this as the board and
Correct.
changed it and agreed
Correct.
on it, so that would be my suggestion.
Okay. Bob, did you receive the Code of Ethics via email?
You want me to repeat it in the email?
No. Did you receive it? Was it emailed to you?
No, but
Okay.
I've signed it 2 or 3 times, so I think I can sign it again.
Well, that's a plus.
Bob, the clerk emailed it to you, so it should be in your email.
Okay, hang on.
You guys want to pass those down?
You can just send it to
You
us
can
once
sign
you,
it,
yeah,
send
you
it.
can sign it later and send it to us.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Now we'll move on to the financial reports.
Are we open for questions, or?
Yes, we're open for questions. I was caught off guard by the summary charts that were added, that's all.
The one question I had on the district expenditures, I think it said Fund 250, and it comes up on the ESSER funds. I thought we had already dispersed all of that.
Jessica Graham, CFO. That is the remaining part of the homeless funds that we had. We were allowed to spend through those as long as they were obligated by September 30th. They were completely expended by the end of December, and we've requested reimbursement, so there should be no further activity in Fund 250.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it didn't say the homeless fund, so, but thank you. So the other thing is on page 2 of 9 of the final bills list, the $26,531.40 to the Kootenai County for the resource officer. Is that 4 times a year we're paying that, or, and is it the same every time?
You said page
2 of 9, correct. Yep, and it's almost to the very bottom, $26,531.40. It just says resource officers December 2024.
So that is a monthly bill for 10 months. That is the cost of 3 SRO officers at their contracted amount.
Okay.
I don't think we're in the bills list just yet.
Oh.
I think we're just on the monthly financial report. So I'd be
thought
happy
we
to
were going through all
answer
of
any.
them.
No, we're just on the financials, and I'm having technical difficulties with my computer.
Oh, just back to what was submitted? Okay, I'll wait then.
Are there any other questions on the monthly financial report?
I do not have any.
Nope.
Trustee Grissom, can you continue the meeting? I need to restart my computer.
Yes. So no more questions. We'll move on to the consent agenda with the meeting minutes of the previous meetings, and also minutes from the subcommittee meetings. Were there any discussion or changes to any of those meeting minutes that were attached?
I don't have any.
I don't have any either.
Okay. I guess we could move on to the HR items. I was going
HR
to
items.
Just do the whole thing together.
Did we have any discussion on the HR items?
I did not.
No.
No.
How about the regular and special bills? Either the January or the bill breakout or the utility bills as presented?
I do want to thank you for the summary page that shows where the money is being pulled from. I think that will help people understand all the various buckets we have for the money. Thank you.
I do have one, the GIM kit. What is that?
It's I believe it's a software site that our teachers use, and that was approved by the board a few years ago as a supplemental. So it's just an annual license fee.
Okay, I just saw it a few separate times. So does each individual person have to have a separate
I'm not sure if it's
subscription or license?
if it's a school subscription or if it's a teacher subscription, but it's definitely not a district-wide.
It is based on the teachers that are using it.
Okay. Okay, I just wanted to check on that. And then on the supplies for the athletic trainers, the NWSH, that's for Northwest Specialty Hospital. Those are reimbursable from. Is that what then? Just wanted to make sure
So
that
part
that's
of
what.
our MOU with Northwest Specialty Hospital is they do cover a set amount for athletic trainer supplies, which should more than cover what our trainers need for the year. So we will be reimbursed. We bill those on a quarterly basis.
Okay, and then can we make sure that people, individuals that are using cards and submitting receipts, we're not just doing general P-card line items at the bottom of our lists?
We're working on that.
Okay, maybe we can make sure that everybody that has a P-card is following the rules of submitting receipts appropriately. At the bottom of November and December, they just say, there's over $35,000 over the 2 months that it just says P-card. It doesn't say what it is.
Yep. So that's actually our payment for the P cards, I believe. Or it's the, bear with me, Chelsea, can you help me? Sorry.
This is on the bill list, the P card. So the P card purchases are made at the SBAA level, so they are going to say P card purchases because it's not purchase orders that were created at our building, it's purchase orders that were created at the schools individually. So when we make that payment, it's P-card because it's paid by the schools to us, and then we pay out to the credit card company.
So the difference is the majority of the expenses there are on the general fund side. So that's all of the stuff that's coming out of our 100 fund. The schools all have their school-based activity accounts, and so they're also allowed, they have a P card for their school-based activity accounts. They have to cut a check from their SBAA account over to the general fund, and so that's where you see all those, because then we receipt them in to pay the bill at that point for the BMO.
Okay, but we as a board are required to approve all purchases, so we need to see what those purchases are as well. So they're gonna have to submit them to you guys in some way, shape, or form.
Even on school-based activity accounts.
Everything that is being paid out we need to approve all purchases made with district funds.
They're
which
in
is
the
trust.
SBA in the monthly financials, but
Okay,
I'll
they're
give you
listed.
I will see what I can do to include.
Well, if you just said what school it was, or
Okay.
that would be perfectly fine, because then it would be listed out in there.
So just like, for example, December 2024 P card SLE would be sufficient. Okay, no problem. That's easy.
As long as they're itemizing those in their.
They do itemize them on their site.
Yep.
We do have
Okay.
viewing of that.
So, did you have more, Trustee Bain?
No, that was it.
Okay, because that was on my list too, so since she already started it, so the itemization, we, as a board, would have access to also, or no? Yes,
We can work
okay.
on that.
Okay, thank you, that'd be great. So, back to the resource officer for Kootenai County, the 26,531.40, you said that's 10 months, did you say? Or,
So it's the monthly amount we pay every month for 10 months.
okay.
Yeah, so it's a little bit over $8,800 per resource officer.
Okay. All right. So about, okay, so 265,000 for, 4 of them?
3.
3. Okay. The other thing was, and actually I take this wrong because I did find the breakout for that. That was crossing guards and stuff with Rathrum. And then the chart wells, this is just basically a flow through reimbursement type, right, the 131.
Right,
Okay.
so they bill us and
Right.
we use the free and reduced and meal payments to pay for the bill.
Right, okay. I just want to clarify for everybody else that's looking, because it's a large number. And then also, and I know we've talked about this before, if I wanted to, on that same page, there's a BMO payment for the $43,917, it's on page 3. If I wanted to find the individual items that were in that, where would I find that at?
I've added them as page 6 through 9.
Okay.
So all of the last 3 pages are the breakout. If you look at the final total on page 9, it matches the amount that was paid out in the monthly financial report above it. So.
Okay, perfect, thank you. And then the next two sort of go together. So in December, we had a $1,000 deposit for a mail van purchase for Coeur d'Alene Honda. And then December 31st, we purchased a 2025 Honda Odyssey for $41,000. So we spent $42,000 on a brand new vehicle for.
It's covered in the facilities update that's upcoming. But essentially the van that we were using to do district couriering in between buildings and all of that was on its last legs. Per board policy, we're able to make purchases under $50,000 with when the purchase was made. So we went ahead and made the purchase because it was a 2005 van that was being replaced, and it needed about $8,000 worth of work, and not a great use of funds at that point.
Well, I don't know that this was a great use of funds either, being that we're already scrambling for a levy, and then we take $42,000 out of maintenance fund. I mean, we don't even know that we'll be
This
able to
was-
retain this position, but we
This-
have a brand new van for it. And I understand there's a $50,000, limit or whatever that you guys can do. So was this was the board's notification, or did you do that at another meeting? Or?
We have it in the facilities update for the notification, but it is also being purchased using plant facility levy funds, which are meant to be used for this purpose. This did not come out of the general fund. Plant facility levy funds are to be used for building maintenance and to purchase fleet vehicles. And that's where the purchase came from.
Yeah, I just think that, well, I already know, these are the types of things that frustrate the community. Because we could have fixed a lot of little things with 42,000, but I'll move on. The pizza for the food service, the 600, was that like a pizza day? Is that what that is?
They have a contract with Domino's to
Okay.
serve pizza. It's a whole wheat crust that is offered via a la carte.
Okay. And then, I had some more on the, are we down there yet? Let me look at the agenda. I don't want to get too far ahead. The Board of Education summary.
In the financial follow-up.
Yes. Mhm. Well, yeah, it's sort of attached to the rest of it. I just had questions about some of the cost on it. Because I wasn't too sure about mainly the legal cost. Yes, it is part of the board follow-up. And there were some other things, so I'll wait till we get down there. Those were the only questions I had on the financials at the moment.
On the mail van purchase, it says we purchased a Honda Odyssey. I thought we were purchasing a cargo van.
So that was my mistake. I would invite our facilities director, Tim Haga, to discuss it. The van that, there was a miscommunication between the two of us, so.
Okay.
Yeah, we did research. Is this even on?
It is.
We did research cargo vans, utility vehicles that would work in this situation. What we need is something that has sliding doors and is reliable. Problem is, since COVID, a lot of those types of vehicles are no longer in production, and the ones that we could actually get our hands on are extremely used and cost-wise did not pan out. So what we did, and this was in place before I ever started, so I just make that point clear. But I did a lot of research. I had my team do a lot of research and find a vehicle that would fit the need that we needed to get somebody safely through all the schools. They deliver materials, they pick up mail. It's not just delivering mail to the schools. They actually packages and textbooks and things like that. So the vehicle that we found, yes, it is a brand new vehicle, but in looking at your cost-benefit analysis, this is a Honda, which is going to last, I'll just say, minimum 10 years. We all know Hondas and Toyotas last a lot longer than that. So if you take that and cost break that down over 10 years, we're talking $4,000 a year. The van that was in there now needs new tires. The doors are falling off. It needs a new engine, and the tranny's about to fall out. Just to get it roadworthy, it was going to be another $8,000. And there's no other vehicle in the fleet to use to be able to get this all done. It would have to be done with personal vehicles and mileage reimbursement. So we presented the information to the CFO, and that's the vehicle that we ended up choosing.
What are we doing with the old van that's requiring $8,000 to be fixed?
We have a couple of vehicles that we're bringing to at the next board meeting to request a surplus, either via public sale or Post Falls Auto Auction as an option. So we'll bring them to you. I don't believe that vehicle's worth very much at this point in time, so it's under that $500 threshold, but because we have multiple vehicles that we would like to get rid of, we will bring them for board approval.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion on the regular and special bills?
Yeah, I have a question with was it Ednetics phone service? Is that a month? Is that every month, $7,300 a month? So what's that for?
That's the district-wide telephone service.
Okay. And we're gonna keep paying the cell phone stipends?
For this fiscal year, unless the board chooses to cut that as part of our cuts for the budget.
I move to cut it right now.
I did have one other question, sorry. I just wasn't sure what the KCDA acronym was for, and I don't remember seeing it. I did appreciate the BMO Harrisburg, like how it was pre-itemized. That was nice to see. But I just wasn't sure what the preface there, the KCDA was.
I don't know the name of it off the top of my head, so I apologize. I don't know what the acronym stands for, but it's essentially a purchasing co-op that's gone out and done all the bidding for us. We can also purchase like school supplies, health supplies for nurses and things like that through that as well for a pretty decent cost. So it's just the name of the company. I can look up what KCDA stands for and get that to you.
I just didn't know if it was like, yeah, something local. That was it. I have no further questions.
Are there any other further questions from any of the other trustees? Trustee Jones, are you still with us?
You bet.
All right. If there's no further questions, then I'll entertain a motion on the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I did not hear Mr. Jones's vote.
I'm sorry. I'm saying at the same time you are. I think that's why you're not here.
All right, well, thanks. None opposed? Any opposed? Nobody's opposing. Motion carries. All right, moving on to the financial follow-up. Are there any questions with what we've been presented with?
Yes, I have some. On the Board of Education summary, is it possible to get an itemization of what the legal fees are? And I have a question. How do you separate when the superintendent calls legal or when the board instructs somebody to contact legal or the board? I mean, is that all lumped in here?
It is all lumped in here per the Idaho Financial Accounting IFARMS, that standard manual that all school districts use in the state of Idaho. It states that legal services fall under Board of Education. So even though it's Board of Education entitled, it encompasses multiple things. So legal services for the entire district do fall in that line item.
Yeah, okay, so I would like to see it itemized out so that people looking at it will have a better understanding of how the funds were being spent.
We can do that for sure. I may have to redact names
Yeah,
essentially.
that's fine. Or even if we just, yeah, it has just, a little bit more clarification. It doesn't have to be too detailed.
Okay.
That would just be great. And then the general supplies, what were all those things? Do you know off the top of your head? Were those just like little gifts that we purchased and things like that? I don't know.
So the most of it was when we upgraded the boardroom at the district office. So we had to purchase a new laptop for the board. So the accessories are like the new camera, the lapel microphones.
Oh, okay.
We did, Trustee Thompson had a reimbursement for teacher appreciation gifts that were done.
Okay.
So we had camera mounts. They did a teacher appreciation for all the schools at the beginning of the school year, delivered cakes. We purchased the new chairs for the boardroom, that new cabinet, and we have a PO right now open for potentially purchasing some new tables for the boardroom.
Okay. I guess that's it. So does all publishing done by the district too? So you're saying all legal fees go on the board, this board fund, and then is that the same with all publishing? So any publishing that's done in the district also would show up under there?
For the most part, unless it's grant funded. If it's grant funded or if it's being funded outside of the general fund, it would go to wherever that source is. But for the most part, all printings, mailings, legal publications, they all fall into
Okay.
the Board of Education per IFARM's standards.
I'm just asking these because it's never been, remember when we never had it till you came? So it's all new to us and just making sure that everybody understands what is lumped in here, because I have had those questions. So that was it. I have no further questions on any of that. Thank you, Jessica. I appreciate it.
Can you clarify the highlight on the fiscal year 25 curriculum budget? Why some items are highlighted but others are not? Are those just the online subscriptions that are highlighted?
Those are items that we're going to move out of curriculum into our dyslexia funding.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any other questions on the financial follow-up? Trustee Jones?
No.
I have one more, sorry.
Perfect. No problem.
The 11,834,000 that we received, for the school modernization facility funds, was that part of the 18 million that you've been speaking about? Okay.
Yeah, so we received the first portion of it. They're going to hopefully bond again by the end of February, and we should receive the remaining balance at that time.
Okay, all right, great, thank you.
I have no further questions.
All right, thank you for the financial follow-up. Moving to the facilities update. Any questions or comments for our new facilities director?
I do have one thing here for you guys.
Go ahead and introduce yourself
Oh,
so
sorry.
that not everybody knows you yet.
Let me do that too. Tim Haig, I'm the facilities director. KCDA is the King County Directors Association, purchasing co-op owned by Washington's Public Schools. So they help facilitate contracts and things like that.
Thank you.
I just want to say thank you for all the work that you're doing, and I've just heard nothing but great things, so I'm happy to have you on board.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
With your update, I do appreciate its format. It's very concise. Do you think we can also get included, like, projected, this is what we're doing? That way we know, we see the flow going on.
Yeah, absolutely. We can add in current and projected.
That'd be great. Thank you. Anything else for facilities?
I have nothing. Thank you.
Bob, anything for facilities?
No, nothing for me.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to new business. The first item is the declaration of a financial emergency. I am going to contact, what's that? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and contact Megan O'Dowd and put her on speaker so that we can ask questions. And she can kind of walk us through how this works.
Madam Chairman, out of curiosity, why isn't the attorney present in her?
It was more economical for her to appear via telephone.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Megan? Okay, I'm going to put you on speakerphone. We're hooking you up to a microphone, and we're going to go from there, okay? Thanks. What? Can you come this way?
Here, I'll hand it to you.
I'm sorry, I thought you had just walked that way. Okay. Megan, can you hear me?
I can.
Perfect. All right, so we've come to this section about the declaration of financial emergency, and I'm just wondering if you can walk the board through its processes. The document you did send to the board earlier, I know I could not access it. I'm not sure if everybody else could.
Yeah, and it's a working document. I'll keep playing around with it with administration, and we'll get it recirculated. I think there was some formatting issues, so we'll keep working on that. But so there's two, just to give kind of a broad overview here of what we're talking about and why. So a declaration of financial emergency is a statutory process arising under Idaho Code 33-522. It really is just a formal recognition of, and we'll get into what triggering points have to be there, but it's a formal recognition of a state of financial duress, right, to the public. Now, the reason why a board would be interested in doing that is it does provide two mechanisms. One is it gives the board some different powers in terms of union negotiations, including abilities to impose last best offers, and it also allows a school district to explore RIF procedures, so elimination of certificated positions and programs if that is necessary, and the modified due process steps that go along with that. So knowing that those are the two kind of, I guess, benefits, I mean, none of this is good, but those are the two reasons why a board would engage in that process. To declare, you have to meet two threshold requirements. One has to be certified by the state, and the other is just done by the school district. So and I'm not sure if the board has the statute available to them, but if you look under subsection 2 of Idaho Code 33-522, there's a series of subsections, and we're not going to look at subsections A, B, or C tonight, but really what the board would be looking at is meeting the threshold under subsection D, which is essentially if your tax revenues to be collected have reduced, and those tax revenues were going to be at least 1.5% of your general fund budget. Well, that is one of the threshold requirements. So based on the levy results that happened, and after we have some more budget information, presumably we would be in D. And then you also have to demonstrate, and this is the part the state has to certify, is that the general fund balance is 5.5% less of the budget. So those are the threshold requirements. What makes this process really frustrating is that there are so many other components that really go along with a financial emergency. So probably the biggest one is another supplemental levy. So and that's what this, as we get this timeline spreadsheet kind of worked out for you guys in Finesse, you guys will be able to see some of these different timeframes, and obviously district budget. So I think the important thing for the board to keep in mind is that it's really not going to be a possibility to be able to declare a financial emergency until, probably May, around, because we have to have some budget information for Jessica, for your CFO, to be able to provide the threshold determinations that they need. You're going to need budget information, and to do that, we're waiting on JFAC to give us some information on what's happening, and then you guys are going to be able to develop some general budget information. And then simultaneously, if the board decided to run another M&O levy, and I know that's not on the agenda, but it is important because that would be happening, those discussions would be happening now up until March 31st, when is the deadline where the county clerk has to receive the ballot language for the levy. And obviously the levy would happen May 20th, so you guys would have your declaration of financial emergency certification by the state likely right before the levy. And then after that, knowing whether or not the levy has passed and what impact that has on your guys' financial situation, then this determines whether and how you guys proceed with RIF proceedings, union negotiations, etc. So I threw a lot at you. From my perspective, there's really 5 things going on all at the same time. And the 5 kind of big subjects are the supplemental levy, preparation of a district budget, RIF considerations, the declaration of financial emergency is a part of that, and then union negotiations. All of these things are kind of happening at once. Some of these items have very specific time frames, but a lot of them do not, which is why developing a very clear time frame is challenging, and you almost have to work backwards, because there's a few things that have deadlines for example, June 22 is a deadline if RIF proceedings had to happen, and you have to work backwards from there with the statutory deadlines and then our policy notice and provisions to figure out what the latest time you can do all those things. So this is the time for the board to really focus on the M&O levy, preparation of budgets as that information comes out from the state, and then working with admin to decide the different routes that they could potentially go to, meet the shortfall if the levy's unsuccessful, etc.
Okay, so if we are able to, because next week is our special meeting regarding the levy, etc. If we're able to come to a conclusion on what we are going to run a supplemental levy for, we can still make that claim. We can still enter into negotiations. Are we legally allowed to negotiate like salaries and all of that if they're different from what was in the negotiated agreement this year without declaring a financial emergency?
So the negotiation discussions cannot, the reopening has to have the declaration of financial emergency declared for to be able to trigger the reopening of salary and benefits, and to impose the last best offer, which again is one of the items. That step could not happen until the declaration of financial emergency. That doesn't mean you couldn't still presumably negotiations may start still beforehand, because you guys may have enough information based on the budget, and this may not be true. Again, all of this depends on when you get information from JFAC, etc. But you guys could potentially have some negotiation discussions to see if you could, reach the shortfalls voluntarily based on negotiated agreement. Great. If that doesn't happen and the board still is in the position where they have to declare the financial emergency and the levy doesn't pass, then you may be in a position which would then be after May, late May, where you're then trying to still negotiate in good faith, give it another shot. If not, then you may be imposing a last best offer. Okay. And that is different than a RIF proceeding, right? Because a union negotiation would be like you're discussing, maybe we shorten the days, maybe the salary amounts are changing. And then you can also explore other items, but the statute specifically allows you to address salary, benefits, workday type things after the declaration of emergency. Alternatively, a RIF would be you guys are determining that there's elimination of entire programs and positions because of a financial duress.
Right. So what I hear you saying is we can go into negotiations and try to figure out what we can and can't do. But then if we do those negotiations, all in good faith, and then we run the supplemental levy, if that doesn't pass, then we can go back and renegotiate the negotiated agreement and do a last best effort, correct?
So the statute under subsection 3 says, upon its declaration of a financial emergency, the Board of Trustees shall, and then subsection 8 specifically says, have the power to reopen the salary, benefits, compensation aspects of negotiated agreement, including the length of the contract amount. So, yes, that is what the statute identifies as being an option.
Okay. Does anyone have questions or clarifications they need from Megan regarding this?
I just want to make sure that everybody's clear. So the first half of it is just simply, like she was saying, shorten some days, maybe 4-day work week, whatever. You can't really go back as far as wages and benefits and all that until the actual declaration is made. So we can work on some of those other things, but as far as whatever is monetarily in the negotiated agreement, that has to wait.
Right, well, what I guess I'm kind of hung up on is the negotiated agreement hasn't even been determined for the 25-26 school year, which is where we will may need to claim a financial emergency. And even if we go after a supplemental levy with less value, we still may need to claim the financial emergency. If we enter into negotiations for the 25-26 school year without claiming a financial emergency at that point in time, are we allowed to consider the financial salaries, benefits, packages, etc., making adjustments to them because we don't have a negotiated agreement for the 25-26 school year yet? Are we allowed to decrease those now if that's necessary? Or do we have to go off of what we had for this last year, make no changes, and then the only time we can make a change is after we declare a financial emergency?
I think your salary discussions, your negotiations are always up for mutual agreement, subject to the state imposed minimums.
Right.
You guys can open those things, but it seems to me to start those discussions is probably very worthwhile.
Right.
But it seems to me that all parties may want to wait until after, which would be quite typical. Spring negotiations usually start, but it usually takes, a few rounds, likely because you're waiting for final board budgets to be approved and things of that nature. So, although you could approve without knowing whether the levy passes, and, if you guys reached agreement, great, but I assume the party would not reach agreement, and then you'll be in a position post-levy to know exactly where you stand and what's going to be required. Because it could be union negotiations will only impact certificated employees, and there's also classified, and there's, there may be a number of changes depending on what the levy amount is, what the budget is, what the allocation is from the state. We don't know what those shortfalls are really going to be until these big pieces of information come in. I think the frustrating part for the board, but it's no fault of yours, it's just the timing of things. The bulk of this information and really everything is going to really come together in May, and that is going to be a very intense month. The only hard and fast thing that the board can absolutely do now and focus on between now and May is, by statute, that levy. Adopting it, getting a resolution and the ballot language to the clerk by March 31st. And then there will be the development of the budget information, hopefully in that March, April timeframe, depending on, and it may be into the beginning part of May when that information is coming together and when the state gets out their JTRAC budgets. The union negotiations can begin whenever they would normally be appropriate, but there's going to be some missing pieces until that levy outcome is known.
Okay. Does anyone have more questions for Megan? Bob, do you have any questions for Megan?
No, not really. To be honest, I could only make out about half of what she was saying.
Does the board get a checklist for all this stuff that needs to be done prior to the levy?
So if I may, what the board needs to decide now, the only really time-sensitive thing now, and you guys have a few months, is determining whether the board wants to run another M&O levy and the amount, because that is the earliest deadline, is March 31st. That the ballot language must be approved by the board and submitted to the county clerk, specifying the amount by no later than March 31st. So that's really the current step of what the next steps for the board.
Okay. Anything further for Megan?
No, she answered all my questions. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. You two, anything further for Megan?
No, she's gonna get the document fixed and send it to us again.
Okay. All right, well, Megan, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it, and for being here to answer our questions.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will keep working on this complicated spreadsheet and try to work with the administration to get it, and again, even when I put kind of dates and timeframes into this spreadsheet, I wanted to be able to explain to the board that they are flexible because they're just assumptions when we hope things, we might know enough to be able to do things, but I'll work on that and figure out a way to get it recirculated, maybe in time for your next board meeting.
Which is next Wednesday. So
perfect.
All right.
Okay. We'll get there.
Thank you. I
Okay.
appreciate your help.
All right. Take care. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Okay, so based on the information that we received this evening, it does not appear that we should be declaring a financial emergency at this point in time. We do, however, need to come up with the steps for running the supplemental levy in May. Should we choose to do that, which I believe we're all in agreement to go in that direction, can we make that for the next meeting, as long as we have the financial information that we need? Do you think we are able to come up with that dollar amount next week?
I think so.
Yes.
We're pretty much already there. Everything she's saying we started already walked through. So.
Right. Okay. All right, so there'll be no action taken on the declaration of a financial emergency. Next item up for action is the LHS Journalism Education Association travel.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any conversation at all by anybody? All right, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Moving on to the LHS Dance Co-Curricular Travel.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Moving on to the discussion item of the IBB February date.
Last year, the board was intentional about having some workshops prior to starting IBB to be able to look through the negotiated agreement and kind of talk about what some of our desires were as far as changes and modifications. So I'm just wondering if that's something the board wants to do again this year. Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I will work with the clerk to find a date in February to get that started.
Given that we're going to 2 meetings a month, and I know we'll have the financial meeting next week, which will determine if we still need to have more financial gatherings. We may be able to toss it in on one of those days. I don't know. Next up for discussion is Day on the Hill.
This also came from last year. We had a conversation about the importance of Lakeland having a voice in the legislative process. And some board members had mentioned that they would like the opportunity to be able to participate, not in the ISBA events, but actually being down there for that weekend to interact with our legislators. So I am just bringing it back to the board to see if that's something you still desire. We do have professional development dollars that we receive from the state, specifically, obviously, for professional development, and this falls in that category. So I just am interested to know if you are wanting to go.
I would be interested in that, so it's on Monday, and specifically given the situation that we're in, so it's on Monday and a Tuesday of February.
And Monday is President's Day.
Monday is President's Day, did you say? So it's a holiday.
I would like to go as well. Trustee Jones, would you like to go? Will you be cleared to go?
Get up to the hill, no.
Okay. I just didn't want you to think we forgot about you over there. Any further discussion on Day on the Hill?
I have none.
No.
Okay. Moving on to the Title I handbook.
I don't believe there are any changes this year. This is just the annual review of this particular handbook.
I do want to point out that the link on page, no page numbers, it's the second, third, it's under requirements for school-wide Title I program, compact August-September. The link for the State Department of Education does not work, just so you know. Other than that, it looks great. Any other conversation on the Title I handbook?
No.
Okay. Oops. We have our dates to remember. Do we have any input for future agenda items?
Not at this time.
Okay.
I do not. No.
Okay. Bob, do you have anything for future?
No, thank you.
Okay.
I do have one suggestion though, just so everybody knows, maybe we should put on the calendar, the board's calendar, when the agenda is going to be created. So that way, if somebody has something in their mind, they can know that if they get it to the agenda planning by that date. You know, because I don't know about everybody else, but if it's not on my calendar, I space it off.
Gotcha. Okay. So Maria, can you update the board calendar to show when agenda planning is, or is that already on there?
It normally is.
Okay,
But I'll
okay.
make sure that.
Perfect. All right, then I need a motion to enter into executive session pursuant to Idaho Code 742061B.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Can you do a roll call vote?
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee Bain?
Yes.
Chair Thompson?
Yes.
Trustee Quimby?
Yes.
Vice Chair Grissom?
Yes.
And that work until we will enter executive session at 7:11. So we've come out of executive session and there are no post-executive session action items. And we will go ahead and adjourn the meeting. It is 9:54.